Hey, happy Monday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Morning Musings. My name is Don K. Preston. I am the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma. I appreciate so very much you being with me. Hope you had an absolutely fantastic weekend. We are continuing our thematic study of 1 Corinthians chapter 15. Paul said, "Then comes the end when he shall deliver up the kingdom to the Father." It is generally believed, widely believed, number one, that the end that Paul is discussing is the end of the Christian age, or it's the end of time, as Dr. David Hester affirmed in my July 2016 debate here in Ardmore, Oklahoma, and which he will affirm once again in June of 2017 in Montgomery, Alabama. So if you're going to be in Alabama, don't forget, I'll be debating Dr. David Hester June 15th and 16th in Montgomery, Alabama. I'll be posting that on my websites so that you can be making plans to be there. This promises to be an interesting debate, to say the very least. Well, when Paul said he shall deliver the kingdom to the Father, that takes place at the resurrection. Now, let me say this just as simply as I can. If the end of 1 Corinthians 15 is not the end of time, and it's not the end of the Christian age, then historical Christianity is falsified. If the end there is the end of the Old Covenant age of Israel, and the only age in all of the Bible that was ever said to supposed to come to an end is the Old Covenant age. As I've demonstrated, the New Covenant age of Christ has no end. So, that's point number one. If the end is not the end of the Christian age, then the traditional view of the resurrection of 1 Corinthians 15 is falsified. Secondly, we are told that Christ will surrender his throne at his coming. In my 2016 debate with Dr. David Hester, he said, if Christ came in AD 70, he's no longer ruling or reigning. That is his view based upon 1 Corinthians 15. He believes the end is the end of the Christian age, and he believes that Christ would deliver the kingdom to the Father and would cease to reign at his coming. Well, confronted with the numerous biblical passages which affirm that the Christian age has no end, that Christ's rule, his kingdom, and his throne have no end, some opponents of covenant eschatology, they kind of switch gears, and as I pointed out in the previous video, they say, well, the end there, it is the end of time, and Christ delivering the kingdom is Christ terminating his mediatorial reign. And what they mean by that is this: Christ is mediator between man and God. He pleads the case for both God and man. That's only necessary when there is time, when there is life on earth, when man is confronted with temptation, when man has weaknesses. Therefore, when time ends, when human history ends, there is no further need for a mediator. No further need for a mediator. Because, once again, man is not on earth. He is not being tempted by anything. He has no weaknesses. He does not struggle with temptation. Well, the question therefore becomes, will Christ's priesthood, his mediatorial reign, ever come to an end? And to make this as simple as possible, if it is the case that Christ's mediatorial priesthood never ends, then it must be the case that the view that Christ surrenders his mediatorial reign and brings it to an end is false. Well, guess what, folks? It is absolutely true that the Bible affirms that Christ's priestly role, his mediatorial reign, has no end. Hebrews 7 is an absolutely incredible text. I want you to notice that Christ, point number 1, is a priest after the order of Melchizedek. Thou art a priest, how long? Forever, after the order of Melchizedek. Now, pardon me, it's important to understand that this forever here is set in contrast to the Old Covenant priests, who were many because they died. So you have temporary versus forever. Pardon me. Now watch this, Hebrews 7:23. There were many priests under Torah because they were prevented by death from continuing. So the priesthood of those individual priests ended because they died. Had those individual high priests continued to live, their priesthood would have continued. But he, that is Christ, because he continues, how long? Forever. How long does Jesus live? Pardon me. Folks, how long does Jesus live? Now, once again, those high priests were many because of death, they did not continue as priests. But this man, because he continues forever, has an unchangeable priesthood. Therefore, he is able to save to the uttermost those who come to God by him. Watch this. Seeing he ever lives to make intercession. Folks, we have 4 affirmations in one passage, in one context, that affirms that Christ's priesthood is forever after the order of Melchizedek. It is set in contrast to the Old Covenant priests, who were many because they died, and because they died, they could not continue forever in their priesthood. But Christ does live forever. Look, Christ's priesthood is tied directly to his life. If you say his priesthood ends, then his life ends. Sorry, Christ lives forever. Therefore, he ever lives to make intercession. Thus, the view that Christ will one day hand over the mediatorial reign of his kingdom and cease to be a mediator is falsified emphatically and explicitly right here in Hebrews chapter 7. There is no end to Christ's rule as king. There is no end to Christ's priesthood. Therefore, a proposed resurrection at the end of time and the end of the Christian age, in which he rules as king, in which he serves as mediator, will never end. There is no future resurrection at the end of time or the end of the Christian age. Hey, look, you need to order a copy of my book, We Shall Meet Him in the Air, The Wedding of the King of Kings. I have an extensive discussion here of this proposed time of the end. Go to my website, eschatology.org, bibleprophecy.com, order the book, send me an email that says you saw the offer on YouTube or Facebook, and I'll refund your shipping. Well, we're going to ask the question next, okay, what does it mean when he delivers the kingdom to the Father? We'll see you on the flip side.